Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4! And today, spawning in the north corner of the map, playing in blue, we've got Beastyqt playing as the Knights Templar. And battling against them today, spawning in the south in red, we've got louemt playing as the House of Lancaster. Welcome everyone to Dry Arabia. As always, hope you're all having a great morning, good afternoon, or good evening. And I believe this video might be my first, might be my second cast of this new DLC. Super excited to showcase it. I've been away from YouTube for a little while, been a bit busy in real life. Recently had to take my son to hospital, which was a bit of a roller coaster of a ride, but thankfully we've got through it. At least he's recovering now back at home. So things are looking up, and things are definitely looking up with these two civilizations, the House of Lancaster and the Knights Templar. They are two variant civilizations, which is kind of an interesting wording, I've got to say, because, I mean, it almost suggests that they're similar to their base civilizations, which in some ways they are, but I'd say in most ways they're not. You've got the Knights Templar, which are essentially described as the variant civilization for the French, but they don't really benefit from any of their eco bonuses, so the town center runs as fast as any other usual kind of standard town center. But some cool things is that they do not need a lumber camp. So we'll see that a little bit later on this woodline, no doubt. That Beastyqt will be getting trees, wood, and also food at the same time. So pretty cool, no lumber camp needed. And the villagers actually get wood and food as well. A small proportion of food. I believe it's going to be like, I think it's 20%, something like that. Either way, it's a small amount, but it keeps the civilization rocking and rolling. Now, the House of Lancaster, on the English side of things, they do not benefit from cheaper farms or, more efficient farms at all. What they do have is shepherding. They get an additional 3 sheep, and also the shepherds, they hunt, or I guess gather the meat significantly faster. I believe it's 25% if I'm not mistaken. It might be 20 or 25%. We're still learning the game, of course, so we'll be figuring that as time goes along. As we now start to see some age ups, we've got the Lancaster Castle for louemt, essentially a keep, or I guess it's a defensive landmark. It's more or less a keep, but what it does is it increases the HP of the manors and also gives them an arrow slit emplacement. So it's very defensive, it's pretty cool to have. Now the manors is essentially I guess it's the heart of the economy for the House of Lancaster. It costs a decent chunk of stone and also a decent chunk of wood. What it does, it passively generates 45 wood and 70 food per minute. I guess it's equivalent to about 3 villagers, and so it's quite nice to have over time. But what's really cool is that the more that you have on the manors, you've got a magic button once this is built, and you'll be able to actually train many units. You pay a price for it, but the more of the manors you have, the more units that spawn. So it's kind of like a greedy booming mechanic, similar to the cow boom for the Malians, I'd argue. On the other side of things, we've got the Principality of Antioch. Melee units gain a bit of a buff there. Extra damage. Also, safe passage, we've got pilgrims for the Knights Templar. So pilgrims spawn every 60 seconds, and they get kind of scheduled over to one of the sacred sites. When they get there, they'll give you a bit of gold. It's all about protecting them. Now, you can't actually control them either, so they have a mind of their own. You just have to find a safe route for them to pass and travel, and protect it. It's a big part of what the Knights Templar were used to be about, protecting pilgrims to any holy sites. Now, as you can see as well, no lumber camp here. Quite nice for efficiency because the villagers actually drop off the wood instantaneously. You can see on the top right there, the wood count is kind of increasing in single digits, and as is the food. Looks like Beastyqt going to go for a second town centre now, going over to stone. This is going to be an interesting game, you can feel it already, because we know louemt and how good he is at the late game, and with Beastyqt now going for a second town center himself, strap yourselves in, probably going to be in for a bit of a long one, which is great, because it means more to talk about, more to showcase. Alright, Sanctuary Inn gives another pilgrim for the Knights Templar. Now I would like to say, if you have been enjoying the content, well, I suppose if this is the first cast back, then maybe from the past anyway, and you want to see more, and you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed. More importantly, that you hit the notification bell. I'll be casting a lot of Age of Empires, hopefully going forward, as long as things don't, get in the way again. And, if you don't want to miss it, make sure you are subscribed. That's quite a decent chunk of villages on stone, so going to go for that second town center nice and sharpish. Question is, where does he place it? I mean, in recent history in Age of Empires 4, we've had to have the second town centers pretty close to home because of the threat of early aggression. But up against the House of Lancaster, which is a civilization which seems to be a bit more defensive, maybe Beastyqt can venture out a little bit further, maybe to the boar here, kind of halfway between the sacred site and the main base, potentially on the deer pack here on the right side. There's a deer pack here, which is a bit far forward, but it would help him protect the gold and the berries to some extent. Be a tricky situation, could be an option for him. We can see a lot of manors popping up now for the House of Lancaster, and here it is, the muster of the nobles. Levy 2 demi-lancers and an additional 1 for each manor. So you can see having more manors is pretty nice for extra units, but more importantly, of course, getting the passive generation of resources. Also, there is an upgrade that allows it to then increase the limit of manors by +3. More importantly, in the Imperial Age, the manors generate 40 gold per minute. Pretty expensive though, at 200 wood, 500 gold, but in the late game could be pretty worth it. What's kind of cool to see is that a bit more defensive approach to the House of Lancaster. They do have a bit more of an aggressive approach at sometimes too. And that can be with the Abbey of the Kings, as well as getting sort of a spearman yeoman rush. The spearmen are pretty cool actually for the House of Lancaster. They've got an ability where they debuff enemy melee units by +2 on their armor. And that's pretty important if you're up against man-at-arms or knights even. The spearmen are a little bit extra tankier here for the House of Lancaster. See the pilgrims going across the map now for Beasty. Gonna get a bit more extra gold. So pretty slow start for both players. I suspect things will ramp up pretty sharpish. So he did go for a second town center here on the deer camp in the end, pretty far forward. But I guess he's got a breathing space to do so. As well, this is going to be a really hard position for Beasty to push because of the fact that these guys now have arrow slits in them. Also, a whopping 1,450 HP. Nice back gold here for louemt as well. This base, very wallable, just a wall on the right side to the edge of the map. It's got a big stone, big decent chunk of gold there as well. And yeah, the wood lines on the map really has favoured louemt in his spawn today. Gonna go for a barracks here, nice and early. Now, the Principality of Antioch, I believe that gives access to the Sergeant for the Knights Templar, which is pretty cool because we have to bear one thing in mind. We've got, every time you age up for the Knights Templar, you've got 3 options. I know it's a bit greyed out here, but this is the ones to go for the Castle Age. You've got the Angevin Empire, the Republic of Genoa, and the Kingdom of Castile. But what this does is also give you the bonuses, but also generates the ability to train a new unit. We'll talk about that potentially a little bit later. Here it is. Here's the Sergeant. It's a pretty cool unit. It's a sturdy infantry that throws axes, which deal melee damage from range. So something to think about, is it a ranged unit? Is it a melee unit? Turns out it's actually a melee unit. So you want the melee blacksmith upgrades. If you're up against it, you don't want iron undermesh to counteract that. It just wouldn't work. You want your melee defense upgrades if you're up against sergeants. Pretty cool to think about because it does change the interaction just a little bit. Look at these demi-lancers. So this must have come out from the Lancaster Castle. Yes, indeed. It's popped out with quite a few of them. 8 of them. It's a pretty cool unit. It's like an upgraded horseman, I'd say, actually, because it's got a charge attack, which is quite nice. But it's not hugely powerful, right? 140 HP, only 8 damage, and it doesn't really have anything super bonus-like, but it does have the charge, right? And what's kind of cool is that the more keeps you have, the extra damage they get. There is also an upgrade for them, I believe, that does allow their charge to be improved. Not this one, but I believe it could be coming in from the King's College. King's College is actually a pretty cool thing to think about. I mean, you guys know I'm from the UK. We do actually have a university called King's College. I almost went there, actually. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see that immediate relevance, at least to me, personally. And anyone else in the UK. Angevin Empire, he's gone for that particular upgrade, and that's going to give him the fortresses and docks gaining extra 30% health. So one thing to bear in mind, it's a bit of a raid here, so he's getting a bit of damage. 1 villager killed, but more importantly some idle time. But extra HP on the fortresses is something that the Knights Templar quite like, because he wants to protect this route to the sacred sites. And so when we think about gameplay mechanics and the way that this civilization plays, you want to have the map control. Obviously Second Town Center limits that a little bit, But Beasty's going to want to get control of the sacred site, make sure it's safe so he can keep this gold income in. One way to do that is with fortresses. Fortresses are pretty cool as well because this particular civilization only starts off with one landmark, right? Because when we're teching up to the next stage, you actually use the headquarters. Oh, a bit of an engagement here. These spearmen should be able to do a decent amount of damage, actually. The Demi-Lancers, they do upgrade themselves when you age up, so that's kind of cool for the House of Lancaster. Immediate power spike for them. It looks to go for another raid. But yeah, on that thought, so while you only have one landmark, the fortresses actually act as a second. Only problem is, obviously, that the fortress can be repaired, but if it's destroyed completely, it can't be rebuilt. So if you lose it, you've lost it. I don't know if we'll see it today either, but having fortresses around them can actually, I believe, there's a mechanic where the stone walls end up having arrow slits in them. Not hugely amazing in the late stages of the game, of course, with armoured units. They are pretty tanky against arrow slits, rather. So I'm not so sure how useful that would be. We shall see. And here's the King's College, all built and ready to go. With hill training here. Increases the Hoblar charge damage by 150%. And the production by speed by 100%. That's pretty nifty, actually. Especially if you kind of couple that with the military academy. That'd be really, really fast. Got extra armor here for the Demi-Lancers. Werewolf Trebuchet. Now, one thing to bear in mind is House of Lancaster, I believe, don't get any gunpowder units. So their Trebuchets need to be extra special. Starting the race for the relics. Looks like Beasty has already got one in his grasp, but there's 4 more to fight out for. And maybe Louis might be able to go snag a few too. A lot of military units here for Beasty. Does also have the heavy spearman. Now this is actually a very interesting unit. So it's like a spearman, obviously, but it's a heavy one. The reason why it's so good is because actually they've got some good armor against ranged units. So if you're thinking you're going up against spearmen, you might want to go for archers, but not necessarily up against heavy spearmen. They're going to be pretty tanky against that. And actually, crossbows would be a nice way forward here for the House of Lancaster. Although the Yeoman is something that maybe you'd want to scale into. A special unit for the House of Lancaster. We'll see how it decides to address this heavy spearman play. Continues to make them just running around, getting a couple of villagers here and there. Here, Louis. Beasty trying to do the same. But the big difference, of course, is that Louis has got the mobility, right? He's got the momentum with these knights, or Demi-Lancers, I should say. Just Beasty, he could get caught with his heavy spearmen from ranged units if they had that way. And there we go. Look at that. Look at the veteran yeoman just popped out in a blink of an eye. He went for the second little press of the button there on the military landmark, the Lancaster Castle. And he'll be able to deal with these now. Nice pick off on the Demi-Lancer though. Beasty has lost 7 villagers overall. He does have the second town centre there that's helping him out. I mean, with this number of yeomen, to be fair, even though these are heavy spearmen, they will get whittled down. Movement speed is really good for the yeomen as well. 1.31 versus 1.12. So yeah, I mean, you could infinitely kite, right, with the yeomen in this situation. And you can always catch them down. So yeah, I mean, despite being heavy units, it doesn't really matter. He will be caught. Pretty cool unit, I've got to say. Gives you the vibes, of course, as the longbowman, but significantly faster. Just missed out on the relic there. Beasty's actually managed to get 3 of the relics, so his economy should be buzzing right now. He's got farming transition as well, which will slow down his military production, so there is potentially a window here for Louis to put some pressure on. Especially now that he's got this number of manners. We've got to count this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Which I believe is the maximum you can get. I mean, that's kind of crazy, right? Because you've got 4 villages essentially equivalent of gathering with this. And so, what is it? It's closer to 3, actually. So that's a significant number bridging, actually. If anything, I think, actually, loueMt's economy will be... I might be neck and neck, because kind of maybe slightly ahead because of the manners, but then Beasty does have 3 of the relics, right? And a sacred site to boot. Pretty steady on, but of course as time goes on, with the second town set, it's going to be working out well for Beastie. Question is, can he survive any push that might be coming his way? Might be something coming in soon. One thing to bear in mind as well, oh, it's a fast in play here. Look at this. It's going to go for the Wingard Palace. This is a new strategy. 15 minutes. Or 15 and a half. Probably being built at the 16-minute mark. 20 villagers building it. I wonder how Beastie addresses that. He's moving out with his units. And the big thing is that, of course, with so much defensive capabilities of the House of Lancaster, I wonder how much damage Beastie could get. He might need to think about going to Imperial Age himself, and he has got a bit of food and gold in the bank, but not a lot. Looks like it might even be before the 16-minute mark for Louis. There it is. Now, as is the case for the English Wingard Palace, you can draft in units. You've got the Wingard Army. Got the Earl's Retinue, produces an army of 6 Demi-Lancers and 2 Hobbler. You got 8 Spearmen and 1 Earl's Guard from the Garrison Command, which he's going to go for now, actually, as it happens. So he's going to go for Spearmen and Earl's Guard. And then you got the Gunpowder Contingent, produces an army of 2 Ribaldican and 1 Culverin, which is interesting because you can't get the Ribaldican in any other way for the House of Lancaster. And with the amount of infantry units here for Beastie, this could be a problem, actually. Ribaldican could be a bit of a thorn in the backside. The yeomen here going to be shooting off. They do have a Q ability, synchronized shot, but he needs to research it. Oh, there it is, actually. Does deploy in the end. Gets good firing off. Those spearmen will be taken out for Louis, but it's getting some damage for the yeomen at least. Something where Beastie now pushing these villages away from God. He wants to do damage, you can see it, right? Because he's an age behind. He wants to punish louemt for that if he can. And he's actually getting some good value, I've got to say, actually. The archers behind this doing good work. Spearmen being drafted in from the Wingard Palace right from the back. And actually, overall, I mean, it was a good bit of a push from Beastie, getting some damage in, but eventually Louis will clear this up, I would imagine. Ooh, a couple of monks coming out for Beastie as well, just heal on up. Nice approach. But a solid number of yeomen remained here for Louis, and he's got the range, of course. Treasure towers. Increases the gold generation of monasteries and sacred sites and pilgrims. Well, within the aura of a fortress, anyway. I gotta say, not having the need for a lumber camp is going to be boggling my mind for a while. I'm always going to be thinking, where's the lumber camp? Where's the lumber camp? Doesn't need one. Fortresses are starting to come out now for Beastie. And the great thing about this as well is that it improves the range of nearby ranged units, so that's an option for Beastie. Also increases the gold generation as we talked about earlier, and forms a bit of a safe route of passage for these pilgrims. Question is, how safe will that remain? With now Louis in the Imperial Age, and getting some really good amounts of income from the manors. I suspect we'll be seeing a lot of units coming out for Louis before too long. And the fortresses will certainly buy some time for Beastie, as long as they're in strategic locations, which they are. There are only 2 sacred sites on this map, by the way. Beastie has control of 2, although not for long. Alright, now the elite Demi-Lancers coming on in. Again, it's such a nice power spike just to get these units automatically upgraded in the next stage. Does have also one more push of the button. You can levy 1 more Demi-Lancer, an Earl's Guard, and a yeoman per mana. It's very expensive though, isn't it? Holy moly. Not gone for any of the upgrades from the King's College just yet. This is kind of an interesting one. Military tactics training could be nice. It improves the bonus damage of your allied units. So your spearmen, your crossbows, that kind of thing, be doing pretty well. And the carrot technology, well, we're not going to be using that today. Not on dry Arabia. No water to be found. So Beastie going to go for the Teutonic Order. So we could see some Teutonic Knights. I'm pretty excited for that, actually. Not only that, though. All gold units gain 2+ melee armor. So it's going to be great for, well, I mean, Where is his army? We've got to take a quick look at that, because heavy spearmen, do they actually cost gold? I believe they do. Yeah, they do. It's going to be increasing them a little bit. Not so much the archers. But I wonder whether we'll see some Teutonic Knights. 2 fortresses back at home. Protecting. He's got a lot of them, I've got to say. Got good economy. The question is, can he survive this push coming in now? Time to go for Louis. His enemy just invested a lot of resources in the Imperial Age. These Hobbler, these elite demi-lancers and yeomen putting on the pressure. Takes out the second town centre. But he's got to find a way to deal with the fortresses. Gonna go for a keep here on the left side. Well, something that's really cool though is that these fortresses can get a trebuchet emplacement for Beastyqt, which would be fantastic at pushing this back, right? So this is one way to deny the pilgrims for at least a short while. But Louis is going to have to transition to that location. He's going to have to swing round to deal with that fortress in the end. If he doesn't, he'll lose his keep. And that's a heavy investment to lose too easily. It looks like Louis is just going to stick on one town centre for now, and it makes a lot of sense. He's got the tech advantage, at least for the short term. Beastyqt will catch up with the upgrades coming in and now. Yeah, there's a trebuchet emplacement coming in soon. I believe it's for the keep on the west side, or the fortress on the left side, to push the keep away that louemt has gotten. Tries to torch things down a little bit. And the human is going to do a decent amount of damage against these heavy spearmen, but they are still tanking a decent amount, so... an interesting transition to veteran archers, though, for Beastyqt. I'm not so sure about that. Got a lot of heavy elite demi-lancers. Let's have a decent 8 ranged armor. Well, the pilgrims are going down. This is a good value here for Louis, as long as he keeps us alive. But that trebuchet is starting to put some damage in, and looks like Louis is going to transition and just swing by the left side. I mean, he's got a lot of cavalry that could just torch us down potentially. Because there's not a lot of army here, and it's going to take time for Beastyqt to... Oh, his army's out of position, right? These guys are slow, and I think they're being even held back by the Teutonic Knight. We see them in play now, but these guys are beastly. I mean, the stats-wise, it's incredible. 310 HP, 28 base damage, 9 ranged armor. They're pretty slow, though. 0.9 tiles per second. And this is the problem, right? A lot of this army can't make its way across the map. By the time they do, I think this fortress is going to go down. That means the pilgrims don't have a safe haven to get the gold. And he can't move. He can't control the pilgrims. They can't redirect. They just will be peppered with their arrows. Knights Templar, they're failing in protecting the pilgrims today. And the fortress will go down. By the time the army gets there, it's going to be too late. I'm afraid for Beastyqt, he will lose this section of the map. The Demi-Lancers, Yeoman, just back away to the keep. He was repairing as well with villagers. And there's probably no way that Beastyqt takes us out, right? I mean, he does have... Well, that's a long range. Holy moly, he's got a trebuchet emplacement here. And that ranging it? That's insane. That range is incredible. And it actually is. 18 tiles ranged. Crazy. Unfortunately for Beastyqt, though, his army probably going to be lost, and there's villagers here repairing, right? So the big concern now for Beastyqt is that actually, because he was a bit aggressive trying to dive that, he doesn't have that many units in reserve to protect the fortress that's remaining behind. I think Louis might just push that now, and on the right side, ooh, forward barracks coming in for Louis. Going to get some more military there and cause some havoc. Going to go for the Earl's Guard. Now, on the late game state of this map, it could be Earl's Guard versus Teutonic Knights. You can see the Teutonic Knights there now. They're going to be tanking heavily. Demi-Lancers, though, going to go right on top of the back of the archers, and those archers will get absolutely butchered. The Teutonic Knights, as you can see, they will tank for a while. And Boiling Oil should come into play really nicely for Beastyqt, so he holds this for now. All 3 sacred sites in control of the House of Lancaster. Trying to get a fortress here. I mean, he'll get it up in the end, but he'll lose a bit of... he'll lose a handful of villagers. Keep remains alive. Beastyqt certainly being carried by his economy. Village coming out to repair that culverin. He keeps it alive for now, and he probably will, actually. And this is the thing, right? The Teutonic Knights focusing on that. Because of that, they get decimated. The repairs come out for the villagers so nicely. Peppered with arrows there from the yeoman with a synchronized shot. The archers now have to back away. That was costly for Beastyqt, no doubt about it. Fortress is up. On the right side, protect the gold. It's exactly what needs to happen, but you can see the full control here for the House of Lancaster. The 8,000 gold vein in protection. On the right side as well, I mean, you've got to say that kind of, it feels like it kind of favors the Lancaster, I feel. All 3 sacred sites here for Louis. He might lose the keep in the end, but I think it's not necessarily a huge problem for him because he's got control of the map in the other locations. Question is, where do you go from here for Beastie? I was going for the Teutonic Knights, but I'm not so sure he can afford it. Just doesn't have the food for it. They're pretty expensive, if I'm not mistaken. Let's take a look, actually. Yeah. Well, actually, I mean, to be fair, it's not too bad. Not too bad. 80 food and 100 gold. We've seen more expensive units on the field before. Oh, synchronized shot. Oh, massive shot on those archers. Even in the Stealth Forest, it did so much there. Really good burst damage. Now, the Earl's Guard is pretty tanky. 207 HP. 8 ranged armor. Does 18 damage. But, I mean, yeah, compared to the Teutonic Knight, the Teutonic Knight just wins hands down. Also, it does have some passives there. Debuffs enemy units by -2. Also has Battle Glory. Permanently gains 5 health and 1 damage for each kill. It's personal to them, so it doesn't affect all of them. It's just whichever Teutonic Knight the better fit that. Good raid though from the Demi Lancers. Gets good amount of villager kills. As more Demi Lancers on the left side push on through. Now, what this allows to happen, I mean, yeah, sure, these Teutonic Knights are really tanky, but they're being kept busy by the Earl's Guard. They're being kept busy by the elite Demi Lancers, allowing the yeomen behind to essentially just pepper down these elite archers. And I think the big thing is really the movement speed of these yeomen. It's hard to catch them, right? I mean, the Teutonic Knights never really can. They do have 1.21 when they're charging, but the yeomen can outrun them. What can't outrun them though? The Culverin. Oh, another synchronized shot. Demi Lancers coming to the rescue, more or less. It does lose the Culverin in the end. It's possibly worth it, but he'll lose the Teutonic Knights, no doubt about it. And he's still got the sacred site victory. Well, I was about to say it, but fine. Got decapped there. Beastie looking to rebuild that fortress. On the right side, Louis, he'll be aware of this situation. I love this play, by the way, because it's not like Louis needed to go over there. He's still got these 2 8,000 gold vein tiles, but he knows, well, where can Beastie get other bits of gold from? And, well, it's on this right side here. And now he knows about it. And immediately, the Demi Lancers and the Hoblar going to be going to that location to try and raid. Fascinating game of Age of Empires, for sure, no doubt about it. 100 villagers for Beastie. Got the eco lead, at least in terms of number of villagers. Got 4 relics as well, so not too shabby. And never underestimate the power of the manors, which are now gathering gold as well. So effectively, well, that's 1 villager, 2 villagers roughly, so about 4 villagers per manor. It's got 9 of them, so 18, so it kind of bridges that gap quite nicely, at least in terms of raw villager count. The pilgrims are out and about once again. 28 minutes on the clock. Yeah, there we are. The Demi Lancers are in now, and there's only 2 outposts, and by the time that 3rd one's built, I mean, it's not even going to get built in the end anyway. And lose a couple of villages. Does have a spring order emplacement, which will help for sure, but not enough space. So some villagers will go down. He did lose the keep there in the end, Louis, and fortress going back up on the left side. So Beastie is stabilizing. The question is for how long. Louis just not noticing this. It's actually pretty good for Beastie overall. I mean, there's 5 villagers being idled. But I've got to say, this is being used heavily, the Wingard Palace. Earl's Retinue coming into play. And this is really nice, actually. Very fast to come in play as well, considering the number of units that come with it. A fast Imperial strategy here for the House of Lancaster. Not too shabby at all. Oh, could be a bit of a raid here if Louis doesn't spot it. He does spot it quite quickly, so possibly loses just 1 villager. That could have been a lot worse. Really kept an eye there, Louis. Makes a big difference to Riboldicamp. That could change a fight, and the reason why is because, well, he does have a lot of Teutonic Knights, but they could get shredded by these Riboldicamp. Lovely addition to the army. Because the Teutonic Knights might be kept busy by the Demi-Lancers and the Earl's Guard, allowing the Rebaldecan behind them to do a lot of damage. Yeomen should be probably focusing on the crossbowmen, the elite crossbowmen, as they do the... Holy moly! Huge amounts of damage from the synchronized shot. Rebaldecan heading back out of the range of the crossbows. He's heading back for now because a lot of that front line did collapse pretty quickly for Louis. But it's just the movement speed of these yeomen. They can really back off in a fight. Oh, this is going to be bad for Beasty. He's going to lose a lot. He's going to get cannon placement inside the... Uh-oh, Beasty. Oh, no. Oh, no. He realized way too late. I mean, he's going to struggle on gold. This is the big problem. Sure, he's got pilgrims, but he just lost so many villagers in a blink of an eye. That was devastating there. 84 villagers Louis killed. Oh, that was a huge raid. Make no mistake about it. That was game-changing. Beasty's going to find it difficult to recover from that, especially now that you see this army is going to get surrounded from two sides right by the Wingard Palace. So units spawning out pretty quickly. Yeoman gets some massive shots off, and this army is going to get cleared. Sure, he's got Teutonic Knights. They will be stubborn, but Rebaldecan approaching. Beasty, I think he's just given up on this fight, really. Still a couple of Teutonic Knights on the left side of that army, but yeah, they will be peppered. The Rebaldecan took them out so quickly. Teutonic Knights, they're great, but they don't seem any match to the Rebaldecan. Elite Sergeants added into the field. Ooh, wow, that's pretty nice to see. So there's the melee unit that actually does sort of a ranged attack, but it is the melee attack. It just got ranged to it. Takes out the Demi-Lancers pretty nicely, actually, I've got to say. One thing that's pretty cool is I believe they don't actually have any torch damage. So if they're going to take out buildings, they just throw their axes. They do 20 base damage. Not too shabby. And he's got control of this gold. This is a problem for Beasty. He could potentially send villagers here, but it'd be risky, right? Doesn't have that much gold income other than that. Let's take a look, actually. Oh, I mean, to be fair, 1,600, not too shabby. I mean, I guess a lot of it's coming from pilgrims. He does have 4 relics, so it seems like it's going to be enough to sustain him, at least for now. That's kind of caught me back. I was a bit surprised by that. A decent chunk of gold coming in for Beasty. This is a fight. I don't think Beasty has the numbers. The Rebaldecan going to pepper through these infantry units. If he does get another couple of shots off or not. Oh, he's left unguarded though. Beasty might be able to snipe it down. Yeah, the sergeants do snipe it down. Nice way to snipe siege, actually. There's a trebuchet now for Louis. Now, what is it even firing at? Oh, a single unit. Absolutely decimated. But Beasty, having lost the villagers, right, he's lost the momentum of his greater economy, and Louis' economy is simply better now. He's got 4,000 gold in play, and yeah, you can see Beasty trying to get a foothold on the map, but I mean, he needs to make a big play because his economy is in tatters after what happened there on the right side of the map. If this game goes for too much longer, I mean, Louis is just going to keep pulling ahead. As long as he doesn't take any devastating fights. Trebuchet, or that fortress probably won't last for too long with that Trebuchet active. 2 Trebuchets and a Culverin. Yeah, that fortress won't last long, I'm afraid. Might go down before... I mean, it will get built, but it's probably not going to last for very long. There's a lot of Trebuchets. Yeah, siege engines coming out thick and fast now. Mangonels added into the mix. In the late game, they are super powerful. Does he lose the fortress? I mean, he could repair it, but we'll see. Oh, well, they might lose the Culverin. Maybe he's overextended just a little bit here, Louis. The siege is expensive, right? So he wasn't able to produce too many other units at the same time. So the fortress will survive for now, surprisingly enough. Gold, about 2,000 left there. Beasty might send... I mean, there's not a lot of... That's the thing. With Louis getting here so early in the middle of the map, he's practically mined the majority, well, the vast majority of that gold. Even military count, but the economy is simply better for Louis. It may not seem like by a lot, but the manners involved certainly change it. Costly repairs coming out for the fortress as well. The question is, how does Beasty deal with the mangonels that are kind of building up in number? Oh, could be a bit of a raid here on the right side. Maybe a comeback arc here for Beasty, but it's got to do more damage than that. Louis' reactions, they were just so strong, right? They're so fast. Could come down to this game being just being decided by the reaction times. Fortunately, one slip up can be so costly at this stage, this level of gameplay. It's hard to recover. Demon Lancers on the left side. Trebuchets might get involved. I mean, the Mangonels, if they deploy, this could be some shots. This could be some good shots. Louemt deploying the synchronized shot as well. The Mangonels aren't achieving too much. I mean, the Sergeant's pretty tanky. But in the end, the numbers looking too good for Louis, I think. The Fortress should go down in the end. There it is. Has got a couple of siege engines himself now, Beasty. Trying to fight fire with fire. Defender's advantage might be working in Louis' favour. We'll have to see. Alright, well, looks good so far. Now, looks like Beastyqt just itching forward with a couple of outposts, trying to get a staging ground to attack with. He's got a good number of army, though, I've got to say. But a lot of these guys are just archers. Sprinkling a couple of these crossbowmen. They could work well for him. Question is, can he deal with this number of mangonels? Some big shots potentially coming in play. And with a good number of Earl's Guard, this could be a problem for Beasty, actually. That's just the quality of army. The army value is actually very neck and neck, but not so sure about that. The army does just seem just a little bit better there for Louis. Purely because of the number of archers involved on Beasty's side. Could come down to one big fight potentially here. Teeing up. That's a lot of mangonels, holy moly. Now, with Springall's not really a thing as a counteractive thing for mangonels. Well, what does Beasty have against them? Maybe the sergeants, but I don't know. There isn't a lot of them, and there's a lot of mangonels. Trebuchets moving further forward. We're dishing out all sorts of damage for the House of Lancaster. About to tee off for the fight, looks like. Mangonels deploying themselves almost around the goal vein. Bit of a choke point. I love this play, by the way. This is very strategic. The location of this, it means that BC's units can't... Oh, that's a massive mangonel shot, but BC's units can't reach the mangonels because of the goal vein. It's completely in the way. Positioning is fantastic here for louemt. And the Earl's Guard tanking heavily. Louemt behind the Robotican, doing all sorts of damage to the heavily armoured units. And BC's mangonels, they're just nowhere to be found. He does deploy a shot, but they all pretty much miss. And this is a huge fight. BC's army dwindling in numbers. And louemt took that fight amazingly. The death ball of siege, mangonels, Robotican, but more importantly, it was the positioning. The Earl's Guard might even charge in. They are, and they're going to be throwing their axes right on top of those mangonels. Mangonels going down. Beasty down to 9 military. He's got some economy back, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. There's no way to defeat this army, you feel. So many mangonels, so many Robotican, and there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, GG gets called. And it will be the House of Lancaster with some great positioning, some great raids that take the game on dry Arabia. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.